I took some words from you is that, first of all, your integrity, you need to polish it, you need to refine it, you need to maintain it every time in each moment. You need to have some soft skills so that you are qualified for adding value to your product and then present it. If you don't have those skill set within you, you cannot justify the excellence you are trying to bring in your product or to your customers. So Emmanuel, why is it okay? One question is that people might be thinking that, okay, starting small means you are living small, but I don't agree with it, because I have seen you actually, you are the customer services partner for Toyota. I have seen you scaling really good in your services, that you have been partnering to different big organizations to give them services. So if you can further share your achievements, people can relate that starting small doesn't mean that you will end up small.
Good. Now, starting small, as the term that is mostly used, just means that you can't actually start anything and get up there. People we admire who have achieved so much in life never got there on a silver platter. Most of them started, and probably because they do not tell their stories, we most often do not know how they started. What we mostly see is how they are ended or where they are. Okay, so if we can get even into the situation where most of the successful people in our society will begin to tell us their story as to how they started, maybe that can also go a long way to begin to influence the up and coming ones to realize that becoming a great man does not just come into existence by a thought. It goes through a meal. Now, you might see me here today in this state, managing a business, paying over 20 workers, leveraging and working for various organizations, individuals, and all that. Let me just draw your attention to this. In the 8th year when I had started this business, the business collapsed as a result of an ungrateful person or landlord that I met, okay, who gave me a space that I was to pay 300 Ghana cedis a month to rent, to have opened my 5th branch. Now, after we had agreed verbally on this note, I took all my internally generated funds and went to the bank and took a bank facility added to it to the tune of almost 40,000 Ghana cedis around the year 2008. I invested all this money, set up a nice standard car detailing center, only for me, for just a year in operation, my landlord calls me and said, let's document this agreement. On giving me the document, instead of the 300 Ghana cedis that we agreed on verbally, it has turned to $500 for 2 years, instead of the 300 Ghana cedis for 2 years. This was a big blow. I did all I could to explain this to my landlord. This is not what it is. This wasn't what we agreed on verbally. But he took no for an answer to all my explanation and gave me 3 months to pay off or I fold up. Now, all the money I had accrued within the first 1 year, I used it all to pay, and it couldn't cover the entire 2 years. All he could tell me was, once you cannot pay the remaining, you need to fold up on my property. I had no choice than to fold up, and it affected me so badly that I had to close down all the other branches, leaving one, the current space I occupy. All right, this ran me down flat. I went into bankruptcy for 4 good years. I lost every property I had. I had about 5 vehicles for the company. All of them virtually had to go, leaving but 1 or 2 which were nothing to write home about. I lost my staff. I lost the customers. Everything went back to ground zero with me. But then look at what I did. I did not give up. I realized I lacked probably some knowledge. Now, I should have documented the agreement from the word go before I committed my funds. I didn't do that. So lack of knowledge. All right. Now, I should have also taken time to expand my scope of operation because I was a startup now growing up, and within a pace of 8 years, I have 5 branches, which I believe was just far too much too soon as a result of lack of knowledge in financial management. If I had a lot of knowledge in financial management, probably I would have taken time in my expansion. Because what I got to realize was that expansion does not necessarily mean increase in wealth or increase in profitability. All right. And so these things I realized I lacked. So when it all happened, I realized, no, I needed to upgrade my knowledge. So I had to go back to the university to pick up a course that can open up my mind into management. All right. So I took up a management program. So I have to upgrade myself. So upon graduation, I had the opportunity to go outside the country, not to go do anything, but to go for a further study in car detailing. All right. So I didn't leave my industry. I still focused on it to expand my knowledge. Now we are talking about mastery. You cannot become a master of an entity if you don't open your scope of knowledge within that space you are operating within. You have to do a lot of research that will expose you to a lot of knowledge within that same space. And so when you are able to acquire all this knowledge within the various sectors and put it together, you have total control over your environment. Nothing takes you by surprise. Nothing takes you by chance. So I learned a whole lot of trade and skills and kept them, and then began to ease them out as I study the environment, as I study the market, and then I bring out a product that can continue to make me remain relevant within my industry. All right. So this makes you a master of your product or service or in your industry. Research is one. Acquiring information is two. Why did I travel outside the country? I just traveled out to go gather information. This is why it is very, very critical and important for startup entrepreneurs not to stay away from some of these programs you are organizing. By putting up a lot of information, it guides you into how to structure your business, how to operate it, which things to expect, things to plan for. Because you're not operating the business just to make money today. You are operating that business for sustainability. It is not easy to sustain a business within the informal sector in Ghana for over 20 years. That is not easy. I have gone through it. And so when I'm talking about it, I know what I'm talking about. And much of my success was dependent on information, not capital.